And it's official. Greetings, my friends. We are live. I'm on with Victor Hubbard from PDM, Performance Driven Marketing, right now. And I'm Sid Greff. This is a huge live. I'm glad you're here. As you start jumping in live, go ahead and say hello in the comments. But most of all, Victor, how are you? It's nice to see you.
Doing good. Good to see you, Sid.
Good. And fun. I got to ask you that twice because we started the conversation before going live.
That's true. Okay. Very true.
Yeah. How are you? And then did you think I forgot that I'd already asked you that?
No. I knew what was going on.
Cool. Well, I'm excited to get to see you in a couple of weeks. You know, it's funny. We there for a couple of years we talked regularly and with one of my other businesses, and we kind of shut that one down. And so I haven't been chatting with you on a regular basis. So it's good to catch up. And I would like to know, just like, how's Victor? How are things in your part of the world? You're in Utah.
Yep, doing great. It's been awesome. Hot, obviously, but doing really good. It's been fun. We just moved into a new office, so I've had a lot of change in that way. It's been awesome. We were able to purchase our building finally instead of renting, so it's a good day.
Excellent, man. I'm glad to hear that. That's really cool. Very cool. You just got a heart. I don't know if you see it pop up on the top of your screen. Like I need to. I don't even know where to push that. Hit the heart and like button for Victor. Got to buy building. Well done. Several people just jumped on live. When you're coming in live, say hello in the comments. We got Victor Hubbard from Performance Driven Marketing. We're going to get in some marketing stuff. We're going to talk SEO. We're going to talk paid ads. And we're going to talk the looming economic changes and how to make sure that you insulate yourself with marketing. And Jason's in here. Of course, it's a little wet in Florida. I saw the map you posted the other day, Jason, with like Florida Panhandle, and then the big part down that was just covered in water. It was very funny. Okay, we're going to go way back in time, Victor, because I read in your bio, I just refreshed it, and it said something about you and Dave starting performance-driven marketing to help some of your customers. I read the words Yellow Pages.
Yes.
You guys really work on the day of Yellow Pages? What the hell's a Yellow Page? I don't understand. What is that?
Come on, Sid. I know you're old enough. I was surprised your business isn't named something AA something.
It's right. My first business was AA Action Window Cleaning in Florida, in Clearwater, Florida. So,
all right. So you played the game.
I played the game.
You know what's up.
Yep. And then I learned that a number ranked above an alphabet. So if it had been 1A, it would have gotten a higher ranking.
That's very true. Very true.
So that's going back in time. That's actually a great place to start. Because you go, Yellow Pages used to be the only way that you could advertise in a manner that people looking for your service could come and find you. There wasn't really anything else. There wasn't a forum. There's no Google and stuff like that. Of course, that's all been replaced. But marketing channels and mediums change. What doesn't change in the world of marketing?
I think just being a quality, good company, like just doing quality service. It's not going to change. Like if you're doing a great job for somebody, they're going to keep coming back for you.
Yeah. I interviewed somebody a little bit earlier, and we, revisited like every sales book probably ever written has this phrase in it. People do business with people they know, like, and trust.
Yep.
So in a digital world, how do we accelerate that trust in a meaningful way so people get to know and like us and will do business with us?
Yeah. And I noticed I was watching your one before with Nice Job, and I think reviews are one of the best ways to build that trust right off the bat.
Yeah.
And Google is definitely looking for it. If you haven't heard, you'll hear people talk about EAT, EEAT. And basically what that is it's kind of the newest thing that Google's pushing out. It's just trying to make sure that your content, your information is trustworthy, it's out there, and it's good stuff. So one of the things you'll find is a lot of people will start asking about authorship. So they're going to start wanting to make sure that your content is from a real person and not a robot or somewhere else.
Wow. Okay. So I do a newsletter every month for our local company, and it goes out to a couple thousand people. And the last one I did, I made sure I put written by a human, not by a robot.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
I was like, that sounded so weird, but it's, I think it's a valid point because people always want to deal with a person, even though the technology and automations can really help us, maximize our business. Um, let me ask you this. We just brought up, pause before I go further. More people just jumped on live. Thanks for joining us. I appreciate you taking your time. I'm with Victor Hubbard from Performance Driven Marketing. Victor is going to speak at the huge convention in a breakout session. And then also PDM has a booth number. Do you remember your number?
1055.
1055. So you got to make sure and stop by booth 1055. I'm going to put it in the comments here so people can see that. Here's the thing. We kind of toe dipped into AI accidentally. One of the things that's a concern, not really a concern, but there's a potential Goliath challenger to Google search, and that is AI driven search. So Perplexity has an AI search engine, and now OpenAI released something similar. I don't know if it's accessible to everybody. Maybe it's in beta, but so SEO is the art of making sure that you rank higher in the search results. What happens when the search results ends up being a summary of a topic driven by AI and you don't see a bunch of websites?
You'll find that you can even manipulate those, right? So it's going to be putting out quality content that is getting picked up by those robots and saying, hey, this is information, because it'll always display those sites even down below in those. So even SEO is involved in that in a lot of ways, because you're trying to manipulate how you're showing up even when the AI is looking for you.
Okay, cool. Well, I was wondering, I don't know the answer to this, but in the world of pay-per-click, well, certainly on Google, I imagine your pay-per-click, your paid results will still show up first, and then your organics. Even if they go to an AI related search summary. Have you seen any of this coming, or?
Not exactly seen it, but I mean, I can tell you Google is always wanting to figure out more ways to get more money. And so they're going to always be putting themselves on top. I mean, there's a reason they're a bajillion-dollar company, and it's because we're all paying money to show up on their search and to be put in those spots.
Yeah. So what can somebody that, somebody's been in business for a while, or maybe they haven't been in business that long, but they want to start, I'm going to use my website to get more business. What are some of the fundamentals that they need to do both to attract business or attract clicks and views, but then also make sure that people stay? That's a broad question, but
sure,
you got a depth of understanding.
Yeah, you betcha. I would say some of the very fundamental things is remember that it's all about useful content and information. Google is a giant Rolodex, and they're trying to find that most relevant search to whatever somebody is searching for. So content is still really the king of everything when it comes to online. So if you don't have content around a subject, you're not going to show up. And that doesn't matter if it's paid ads or organic. If you want to show up for a term, you've got to have those keywords that are there and present so that you can be found for it. So a lot of times I tell people is you want to use the terms that are most useful to you and they're going to pay you the most money. So if you're showing up for something that you don't want, that doesn't make you money, then take that off your website so you stop wasting people's time, because you're wasting your own time doing those jobs that you don't want to be doing.
Okay. How do I figure out what are the keywords? What are the things that are going to be most beneficial? I mean, for us, we got a window cleaning. So if I go window cleaning Missoula, that's pretty obvious. Yep. But it goes a lot beyond that. What else how do you need to think about it to make sure that you're capturing relevant keywords?
So I would think of it how people think. So instead of taking it from our own perspective, when your clients ask you weird questions on the phone, let's say they call and ask, hey, can you clean my bay windows? Bay windows is a word that they just used. If they're using it in their conversation with you, they're probably using it in Google search. Maybe instead of saying your commercial windows, maybe they call it their storefront windows if they're a commercial building. So think of the terms that they use, not the terms that we necessarily use. So a lot of times this comes in questions or comments that they're asking you. So if somebody's on the phone and they ask you a question, that's a great blog topic to write about. So all of a sudden start writing about that question that they asked you. Now you can be found when they type that question in before they ever ask you, because most of us want to ask Google before we ask somebody else, because we don't want to waste somebody's time, or we want to seem smarter than we really might be.
Yeah, that's a great perspective and an easy button to figure out what to what to write about, what to blog about, what keywords, what to content to put on your site that people are looking for. I don't recall who wrote it, but there's a great book titled "They Ask You Answer."
Yeah, I think it's Marcus Sheridan that wrote that one. It's a great one.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. You're like, oh, just pay attention to what people are asking so you can answer it, because they're not just asking in person. Do you know with content marketing, whether it's blog content or just your regular content on your website, to maximize it, has the advent of ready, aim, fire content written by AI changed the way SEO ranks stuff? Is there like attribution, or do you? I don't know what type of issues might arise by one having a proliferation of fast content written that's supposedly optimized for your website, or do we have to, as a person, have to attribute their content to AI? Is it stamped, this is human, this is robot?
A lot of that, right, is still up in the air. We're still trying to figure out exactly how much that is affected or not. Before I jumped on with you, I was just trying to go through and look at different places, what they're saying, what we're finding. We're running our own test. We've got a website that's completely built all in AI. So all AI content, everything that's done with it, the pictures are AI, everything about it is AI, and it's ranking and it's being found. We don't know how long it will rank for. Our theory is that it'll rank for a certain amount of time, and then it's going to start losing its validity. So, but right now it's actually ranking and did better than I was expecting. I was expecting it to immediately fall off and disappear because Google would recognize that it's AI content.
Yeah.
The stance that Google is putting on it is it relevant content and relevant information? And so the way that I would structure that or explain that is let's say in Missoula, Montana, you're talking about window cleaning, and you're the only person that is answering the question of how expensive is it to clean my windows in Missoula, Montana? And you're the only person that has a question for that. And then somebody with AI writes another blog or another topic around that and pulls some really good information, and you read through it, you check it out, and it all looks good, and you publish it on your website. There's a very good chance that it's going to still get picked up and ranked, because there's not a lot of other competition against it. In areas where we find that there's lots of competition, or it's a term that's really competitive, I think you're going to find that it'll be harder to rank. But if there's not a lot of content or information around it, in theory, it's going to rank.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's interesting. Yeah, I'm excited to see the AI future, but I'm also hesitant to walk into it.
Well, it's interesting. I have a lot of content writers that work for me, and that was one of their biggest fears is, are we going to lose our jobs to AI? And we believe truly that they're always going to have a job for us, because even if we have AI content being written, I need them to proof it, make sure that it's legit and it's not something fake. And I think that's the key, right? Is if you're just taking whatever they put and throwing it up there as fast as you can, I think it's not going to work. But if you have somebody going through it, studying it, checking out, validating that it's actual facts, then I believe it could potentially work. But our current stance is we're using it for research. We're not using it for our clients' written content. So everything we do, we use it for research purposes to make it faster, and then we write our own stuff and do it that way.
Yeah. No, that's cool. I forgot who I saw publish it, but it said, don't worry about AI taking your marketing. It was in marketing contests. AI is not going to take your job, but people that use AI for marketing are going to beat you.
And that's why we very much, like I said, I'm doing my own test, because I don't want, the worst thing I could do is if I go and build a whole bunch of websites with AI content, everything driven by AI, and Google makes a change and I lose everything that I've built, it could devastate me as a company. So
Yeah.
we're taking a very, very methodical and very safe approach to it. And we've done that throughout the time. There's always lots of black hat SEO that can be done. And so we try to be on the white hat side. We're going to make sure that whatever I'm doing for you is going to last for the next 50 years.
Right. I think that's critical. And it's because if you're planning to be in business for a long time, you've got to think not long term, not just, I need leads tomorrow. Well, there's some shitty ways you could get leads tomorrow.
Correct.
But you might not be in business a year from now if you play that game. So your topic for the huge convention is marketing, but that, like, what do you have a specific lane that you're going to run in?
Yeah, I'm going to really talk about Google. So some of the things I'm going to cover really specifically is the different ways to get leads from Google.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to talk a lot about Google local service, or otherwise called Google guaranteed ads. So a lot of us know it as Google guaranteed, but I'll talk about Google local service and how that can help drive business for you. The other one is Google ads themselves. So how do I do paid ads and how do I make them effective and work for me to generate business? And then we'll talk about organic or SEO as a topic. I'll probably focus in those three spots, just kind of really showcasing how each one can be used. And it'll be a lot of more walking through. If you're not doing this, this is things you should be doing. And so I'll show them exactly what it is and how it works. So it'll be very much it's very informative and help you to optimize and get the most out of each one of those platforms. There's always things that are coming down the pipeline. One of the random ones that I think is, to explain my job is right now on your Google My Business, a little trick or a little tip that you could have is if you have hours, so I have a couple dentists that work Monday through Wednesday and they take Thursday, Friday off. Well, Google has been recently, if you have hours that you're off, so that Thursday, Friday, they no longer show up on the search when Thursday, Friday happened.
Yeah.
And so those are your kind of things that you got to realize. So we've been working strategy with them to say, hey, you can say that your office is open. You're just not taking patients or you're not seeing patients during that time. Yeah. So they'll have a receptionist that takes the phone calls and schedules during their office hours, but they don't schedule during those other days. So that was just a little quick one that I think people need to recognize that, Google's doing weird things to try to be most relevant for the customer, right? Because if a customer is looking and they're looking for a dentist and it's Thursday, Friday when these guys are not open, they don't want them to show up. But crazy.
Yeah, I think that's pretty wild. So in the world of Google, whether it's SEO, paid ads, Google local service, Google guaranteed, there's, I don't know if it's open to debate or not, but a lot of people say, oh, we're heading into a recession. We're in a recession. We're going to head into one. We don't know. We haven't seen much impact here. Other people in different parts of the country have. What normally happens in a recession, business-wise, when it comes to marketing, and what can we do to prepare?
Yeah, I think it's the biggest thing. Most people think, oh, I'm going to hunker down and I'm going to not spend money. I'm going to hold back my money. What I'm finding is those that survive, like I've been through a couple recessions in 2008. 2009 is when we started our company. And we grew the most that year because we had people that recognized the need to market. So before you completely lose all your work, they're doing things. They're actively getting themselves out there to be found. Mm-hmm. So instead of slowing down, they're actually increasing their marketing budget to make sure they get through that time.
Yeah. I think so. I had this conversation earlier. I'm a Bible guy, but we're talking about business principles from the Bible, and one is he talks about the sower and the seed. But the summary of it is the person that sows or plants a lot of seed will reap a lot of harvest. Correct. But if you plant a little bit of seed, you're going to reap a little bit of harvest. Like if you got a garden, you plant one tomato seed, you might get a tomato plant. But if you plant 100, you're going to get a lot of tomato plants and a lot more bang for your buck. So it doesn't matter if the economy is going up or down. The more you market, the more seed you plant, the more you're going to see harvest.
Yeah. It's an interesting concept. We'll talk to a lot of customers that are getting into the business or doing different things. And speaking of reviews, right? Reviews are one of those factors that Google looks at. Well, one of the things that's hard to cheat is if you're truly getting active reviews on a regular basis, like it shows like you're going to put yourself above and beyond, because I can put you on the first page, but if you only have 10 reviews and the next guy has 1,000 reviews, yeah, you might get a phone call, but that other guy's going to have more weight already to him. There's already more trust there. There's already some of that there. And so the only way you can catch up to somebody that's got 1,000 reviews and you're at 10 reviews is you got to do a lot more reviews or a lot more jobs. So you got to get more work and get more reviews from those people that you actually see so that you can catch up. And so I think that's one thing that the disadvantage to a new guy entering the field is he starts out with 0 reviews and his trust factor is not there. And so it's going to take him a minute to get that built up before he's going to have that same level of a Sid Graff that has 547 reviews compared to his next guy that's like 42.
Are you looking right now?
I was looking earlier just before we jumped on, and I was just laughing because I was like, man, you are like just killing those guys as far as reviews in that market. So good job.
Yeah, thank you. A number of years ago when I've said, man, we need to put attention on reviews because in a smaller community, a lot of times people will rebuff you getting reviews. We're like, well, I've got a bunch of customers already. They've been with me for a long time. I don't need whatever. At some point, reviews are the most relevant thing, right? Because what about the people that don't know you? And so we put a lot of attention on it. And I just said to my team, and my goal personally was, we need to always have 10 times more reviews than the next guy, than second place. And we were there for 3 or 4 years. But when, now somebody's got 60 reviews and I've got 600, they get one more review. I got to get 10. And it's harder to keep the 10X, but the gap is still pretty wide. And I'll tell you why. I mean, this is about you, but we're talking about reviews. Like it becomes a network effect where we did the same thing for our auto detail shop as we do for the window cleaning, like focus on reviews. And so generally speaking, when somebody's searching, we show up first. If they see the GMB page and it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, they're like, oh my God, this guy's got, 10X reviews. They call us first. We don't always get the job because sometimes they go, oh, that's too expensive. And I go, hey, that's fine. I'm sure you'll find somebody that can work for you. But we kind of get first right of refusal on everything.
Yeah, and that's what I often will tell people. People quite often get really frustrated when they're like, hey, I'm number 3. I'm not number 1. Why am I not number 1? And in my world, it's hard to keep somebody number 1 because Google has weird rules. I don't know if you ever noticed. Sometimes a random guy that had 5 or 6 reviews will be number 1 for a minute. And we call it the sandbox effect. But Google wants to give that new guy an opportunity to show up and see if he can do something with it. And so they'll pop them up on the page. But what I always tell people is I just want you to be one of the 3 choices, because the reality is how well you are doing as a business is going to trump anything that I'm doing. Like I can get you there, but it's your job to make that sell, to make that close. And so often I find myself being a business coach, helping them to realize like, hey, look, I got you the first page. You didn't answer your phone when they called. And they're like, what? What do you mean I didn't answer my phone? I'm like, well, I have call tracking and everything I do because I need to know that you're doing your job, part of the job as far as getting something closed with it. So, I think too many people forget that it's like, yeah, you can pay for a whole lot of leads, but you've got to close just as many of those leads.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Last stat I heard, and this from Jill's office, they said that if a customer calls and they don't already have a business relationship with you, like if they just called, like I need a window cleaner, and they call your number, if you don't answer the phone, it goes to voicemail. 76% of the people don't leave a message. They call the next number in line.
Right. 100%. I'm always telling customers that. I'll often, my hardest client to work with is a guy that is a one-man shop because he's out on a job, he's cleaning windows, and he's like, oh, I missed that call. It doesn't really matter. I'll call him back when I get done. By the time he's called them back, they've already called 2 other people potentially.
Yeah.
So he just made that sell that much harder. And
and the whole concept of speed to lead is like the faster you return that call, not only are you, you want to be the first person to interact with that potential client, but that establishes a pattern of how responsive are you going to be if I do hire you.
Correct. Exactly.
Am I going to show up on time? Well, do you answer your phone? It's not the same, but it's correlated.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, I love getting into that kind of stuff with my clients, is when I'm sitting down with them, meeting them on a monthly basis, and just really going through what's really happening with what's going on. Because it's more than just doing the internet marketing part, right? That's part of it. Yes, that's a big piece of it, but there's so much more that I can help them with and train them. One of the things that I would say, you asked earlier, how do I build trust faster with somebody?
Mm-hmm.
I love doing websites for clients, because the first thing I do is I take all the stock images out and I get actual images of their guys, their team, their people doing things. Instantly, it builds a trust factor that people don't realize, because they want real people. They want somebody that's a real person doing their work.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So here's something interesting. This is kind of off topic, but you'll see the way it relates. I was talking to, this a couple of years ago, Lisa McQueen. She's got a substantial janitorial company in Australia. And she said the attrition rate on their commercial clients was pretty high, because like somebody forgot to empty one garbage can. And so, Janet and accounting makes a stink, and then they end up reevaluating and firing the janitorial and getting somebody else. And they said they made one change that set their turnover rate. It like made it insignificant. Like they just weren't losing jobs anymore. And all they did is they took a headshot of Jimmy that was working the night shift, and put his name on it and a short bio. Said, "Hey, I'm Jimmy. I work nights doing the janitorial for you guys. When I'm not working, I love to play guitar, I climb rocks, and I've got a 2-year-old that's getting ready for day school," or whatever. Like they just made the individual that nobody ever sees a person instead of a position. It said the turnover went away. Like,
that's awesome.
Yeah. But it goes back to trust and connection. And like you're saying, like put a real photo, not a stock photo, in your website.
Yeah. I can't, that's one thing. And a lot of times people will ask me, I'm like, hey, pay somebody to come and take good photography of what you're doing. And they'll be like, why would I waste money on that? I can take a picture with my camera and just send it over to you. Mm-hmm. And I can't tell you the value of really good photos on a website. Like it makes a huge difference. Like, if I can't tell the difference between your before and after photos, like that, you're not selling yourself well enough. So get those good before and after photos so somebody knows what to expect when you're done. So
yeah, for sure. If you want a good chuckle, you go to our SpectrumWindowCleaning.com website and use Wayback Machine and look at the old version and the first version of the website. And we did exactly what you just suggested. We hired a photographer and videographer to come to job sites and get quality video and quality. And like a photographer looks at the world differently than you and I do. Like you go, I want to take a picture, and you just go, boop, and a picture. That's a picture, but it's not a photograph.
Correct.
And it's not color corrected, and it's not framed properly and cropped and beautiful. Like it's just, oh my God, the difference is so significant. And I look at some of our early stuff and it's kind of like, man, I'm glad we survived.
Well, and the funny thing is, Sid, is you do that, like you can charge more money. Like when you have a quality website and quality information, quality stuff there, you can charge more money and get away with it, because people have an expectation. If they come to your website and it's a little bit rinky dinky, they're going to think that you're going to be cheaper on your price. Yeah. And so it's interesting how they'll look at the quality of your website, quality of those things, and pay you accordingly, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And so a great analogy for that is like, if you think about it in your town, like we have a Mercedes dealership, and then on the same street, it's like Moe's Motors or something like that. And it's like $399 down. We finance everyone. And they have, there's shitty cars parked all over the lot that you wonder if they're going to run 2 weeks from now when that first payment's due. But you walk into a Mercedes dealership, people aren't in there haggling about the price. You go, well, why don't $79,000. Would you take $50,000 for that cash? You know, they expect to pay more because they're getting the brand, the quality, the experience. And you could argue, well, Mercedes is an established brand. I'm like, yeah, but they weren't always.
Correct.
They earned that reputation. You can do the same thing in your market on a smaller level and just earn the reputation. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to hog the microphone, but it's dead on.
Yeah. And those are just simple, basic things, right? And sometimes we overcomplicate marketing and advertising and say, oh, we got to do all this and we got to do this. It's the same thing that you're thinking of. If you would buy from yourself, like that's the good question to ask yourself is, if you went to your own website, would you buy from your company?
Yeah.
And if you're saying no, then fix the things that need to be fixed. And a lot of times that's the hardest part, right? As a business owner, we don't have that time to slow down and look at what are we missing? Because I'll even tell you, yeah, as a marketing guy, I'm going to give you suggestions and different things. But the clients that get the most out of me are those that come to me and say, hey, Victor, I really want to change this, and this is why I want to change it. And they ask me and direct me on how they want things done. And that will get you so much further with any marketing guy that you're working with, as if you tell them what you expect and what you want. Now, you can ask them for advice, and if you ask them for advice, take the advice they give you. You're paying them a lot of money for that advice, so take it. Most time, my graphic designer, he's got so much schooling and everything else, and somebody will ask him to design something, and then they start asking their friends. There's different people, and they ask all these people that are not professionals, and all of a sudden, what the work that he had done for them, they'll take and screw it up and make it look like a piece of crap, and they ask why it's not working. And so I would tell you, you pay some of these guys a lot of money, take and trust their advice when you ask.
Well, it's just like, you want to hire a window cleaner, you want to hire a carpet cleaner or pressure water. Like you're hiring someone for their expertise because you know they can do a better job than you. And sometimes as small business owners, we still have that do-it-yourself mentality. And we go, I'm going to pay a photographer, but then I'm going to tell them how to screw it up. Because I'm like, just let them be the pro. They're the pro.
Yeah.
Learn from them. Yeah. I can tell you a funny one. You probably wouldn't have time to look it up, but there's a new window cleaning company that just showed up, and I see their lawn sign next to one of ours. And I always, when I'm aware of a new company, I just call them and I introduce myself and I welcome them to the business community and congratulate them. And then, offer to make, like, how can I be helpful? Like if you need something, you need help with something, I've done it for a long time, I'll help you out. And that talked to this guy, super nice guy. He's got a great backstory. And I went to his website and it's a Wix website. He did it himself, and it's reasonable. But I hit his about page to see his story, and it's got a cool story. It's full page, all caps. It just screams at you. And I was like, I can't look at this. And then I looked, he's got all the social media buttons, and I clicked the Facebook button. It goes to his Facebook page. I clicked the Twitter button or X, and it goes to Wix Twitter page. And the same thing for YouTube, went to Wix YouTube page. I was like, I want to tell him, fix it. If I were at the convention, I'd tell everybody, but I can't tell him because I want somebody to see the difference.
Right.
Between theirs and ours. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I think that's, that's the little things, right? And I think one thing that you said that I love is I think new guys coming into any industry are almost intimidated by the big guys or different things like that. The reality is you probably will send that guy more work because there's going to be jobs that are too small for you, but he's probably happy to take those jobs. And so I think there's enough market out there. Too many people think that, like, if I'm a marketing company and somebody else is a marketing company, I hate each other. It's quite opposite. Like, we work together. We're going to refer each other back and forth. There's many times that, I think I met Mr. Pipeline in a huge convention, and there's oftentimes when I have crossover, I can only take one guy from each industry. And so if I have a crossover, I'm going to send it to somebody that I trust.
Yeah.
So a lot of times it's, who are those other marketing guys that I can trust or doing it right and doing things that I think are a good way of doing it. So.
Right on. Yeah. No, that's cool. In that light, fun story. Long time ago when we were in Florida, and I had just I was the bucket Bob, right? I was just long-haired kid, new baby, new family, hustling to pay the rent. And I walked into this, like for me, getting a $20 storefront was a big deal, right? And now we won't even quote them, right?
Right.
And I walked into an office building and it had a 3-story atrium, and there's a guy up on the ledge on a ladder cleaning a window, and I just said, "Hey, what's up, window man?" And when he came down to move the ladder, we chatted for a minute, and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm new. I'm just hustling." And I was like, "If you guys have any work you don't want, or you got some, you're too busy, like let me know." And I thought they were a big company, and they're okay. And sure enough, like that week, they started sending me all their pain in the ass jobs. And but I was thrilled. Like,
Yeah.
they sent me a house that was all French windows, and they charged $75, and it took me 4 hours, and I thought I was king of the house. Like, yes, send me more of those. So I literally, like, I of that money, I bought a 6-pack, and I drove to their warehouse, and I said, "Thank you for the work." And I gave them a 6-pack at the end of a hot Tampa, Florida day. And they were so thrilled. They started throwing work at me like crazy. A year later, he calls and he said, "Hey, my partner and I are moving to Atlanta before the 96 Olympics. We're closing shop now. Do you want to buy this company?" And I was like, no, yeah. I don't have any money. And they're like, "We'll make it worth your while." And I ended up buying. Their company wasn't that big. It was like $150,000 worth of residential work. I bought it for $5,000.
That's awesome.
And they're like, "We're leaving." They just walked away. And I was like, it put me on the map.
That's awesome. Hey, that's what I love is I think so many people get afraid, but like, as I go to Huge and these different events, the one thing I find is like most of these guys, like if they'll sit and talk to each other and work with one another, they're going to find partners in their own markets that they're like, "Hey, these guys are awesome. They're out here learning, they're growing, they're trying to do their thing." Like there's going to be jobs that are too big for themselves, but if they team up with somebody else that's in the market, they can handle bigger jobs. They can get more work. I don't know. I think it's just smart when you collaborate with other people in the market.
Always. Dan Sullivan from Strategic Coach, I think he published a small book about it. It's just called Collaboration, Not Competition.
Yeah.
And because the competition mindset comes from a scarcity type of mentality. But I'm with you. You said it earlier. I'm like, there's so much work. Nobody's going to get to it all. So share, help each other. Let's make it better. Man, I turned this into a sermon, didn't I?
I love it.
Well, make sure and stop by and see Victor Dave from Perfomance Driven Marketing. It's hard for me to say that. I always say PDM.
That's all right. Our nickname's PDM. You can call us PDM. That's what a lot of people will call us.
Yeah. Booth 1055, and we're 14 days away. We're 2 weeks away, and really we've got a red hot show this year. Every year we go, "Oh my God, we raised the bar so much. I don't think we can pass it." And last year we said exactly that. And then this year it's like, it's a level higher. Our keynote speaker, Donald Miller. Are you familiar with Donald Miller, How to Build a Story Brand?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. We got a big name speaker, and he's such a genuine guy, but he just knows his shit, and he teaches well. Followed by Tommy Mello, who he still has his boots muddy from being in the trenches, but he's running a $220 million annual revenue service business. And I'm like, okay, I don't care how big you are, you can learn from this guy. So,
that'd be awesome.
Yeah, that, and we've got a whole stack of breakout speakers, including Victor. I don't know. I'm excited. I'm a little nervous because it's getting real busy now, but I'm also really excited.
Well, anybody that comes into our booth, I would just say, one of the offers that we're doing is we're giving a $500 Google ad credit. So if you sign up with us while they're there, they're going to get $500 worth of Google ads.
Could I come to your booth when they sign up and get their ad credit? Could I buy their ad credit from them for $50 cash? But look, I'll give you $50 for that.
Unfortunately, it doesn't work quite like that. So that's a little bit unfair, but yeah, it should be a good value. Hopefully, I want to provide value. So anybody that comes to our class, I think they're going to take away a lot of value from it.
Yeah, and by the way, and I was joking, but getting that ad credit, That's $500 that you can use to bring customers into your door. So what a great way to help people. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
Awesome. Well, it's been good to catch up. It's good to see you, Mr. Victor.
Yeah.
And I'll see you in Nashville in 2 weeks. Hopefully it'll be hot there too. Never mind.
Okay. Look forward to seeing you, Sid.
Right on. All right.
Bye.
Hey, have a great night. See you in 2 weeks.